In Okuta, they feared soldiers. They feared hunger. They feared God. But there was one thing they feared more. A girl named Zainab. And when she raised her hand against the wrong man, the whole village learned what fire can do. Okuta Secondary School was not a place of joy but of survival. Its cracked walls carried whispers of punishments, its windows rattled with the wind that carried chalk dust, and every corridor smelled of sweat, fear, and authority. The cane was the law, the cane was the judge, the cane was the executioner. Teachers held it like a staff of power, and every child obeyed, except one. 17-year-old Zainab, slim and dark-skinned, with a sharp afro and eyes that dared the world to challenge her, walked through the compound like she owned it. Her red school uniform was faded, the hem frayed from years of wear, yet it became a crown on her shoulders. That uniform had seen her punch boys twice her size, stare teachers down, and laugh at punishments that left others trembling. Her name alone silenced corridors. Mr. Adeyemi, the strictest teacher in Okuta, had once lifted his cane against her for refusing to submit homework. The cane rose in the air, but it never fell. Zainab caught it midair, snapped it across her knee with a loud crack, and dropped the broken pieces at his feet. The classroom gasped. The schoolyard erupted. For the first time, Mr. Adeyemi's iron grip shattered before his own students. From that day, no teacher dared lay cane on Zainab again. She became a legend of the classroom, half admired, half feared. Some called her reckless. Others whispered she was cursed. But all agreed, Zainab was untouchable. At home, however, her mother bore the weight of her fire. Mama Hadiza, nearly 50, slim and dark-skinned, always dressed in a faded green wrapper and scarf stained with pepper dust, worked endlessly at the roadside market. She had raised Zainab alone since her husband's death, carrying the burden of both survival and the shame of constant complaints from neighbors. "Your daughter will bring you tears," they often said at the market, shaking their heads with mock pity. Mama Hadiza would only sigh, her tired eyes heavy with both dread and pride. She loved her daughter's fearlessness, yet she feared the fire that burned too brightly. Okuta itself was a place of unease. Rumors swirled like dust in the Harmattan air, about soldiers stationed nearby, about land disputes, about checkpoints where men disappeared and never returned. The village lived in a fragile silence, broken only by the grinding wheels of daily struggle. It was into that silence that thunder arrived. One Thursday afternoon, as the sun blazed and students spilled into the dusty compound after lunch, the ground trembled with the roar of an approaching truck. Dust rose, drowning the air. A military truck. It stormed through the school gates, cutting laughter short, freezing chatter mid-breath. Fear spread like a plague. The back door slammed open, and a man stepped out. Sergeant Bola. He was 38, tall, broad-shouldered, his military camouflage pressed tight, black boots pounding the dust. But what gripped every throat in fear was the jagged scar slashing down his right cheek, twitching whenever his jaw tightened. His name alone carried fear heavier than the cane. "Who are the ones loitering near our checkpoint?" Bola's voice thundered across the compound. "If I catch anyone again, you will learn what discipline is." Teachers stiffened. Students bowed their heads. Silence swallowed the schoolyard. Everyone bowed. Everyone except Zainab. She strode across the compound, back dangling lazily, her head high, her afro glowing like a crown under the afternoon sun. She did not even glance at him. "You there?" Bola backed, scar twitching with fury. "Come back here." Gasps rippled. No one ignored a soldier. Zainab stopped. Turned. Locked eyes with him. "Are you talking to me?" "Who else?" Bola spat. "Don't you know respect?" Her smack was sharp, her voice calm but cutting. "Respect is earned, not forced." The compound froze. Even the wind seemed to stop. Bola's boots crushed the earth as he stepped closer, his shadow swallowing hers. "What did you say?" "You heard me." He shoved her shoulder roughly, expecting her to fall, expecting her to bow. But fire does not bow. Slap. Her palm cracked across his scarred face, the sound ricocheting off the cracked school walls. The word stopped. Students gasped, hands over mouths. Teacher staggered back. Bola's car twitched like a living snake. She had slapped a soldier. Take her, Bola hissed, voice colder than a blade. Soldier swarmed, seizing her arms as she kicked and flailed. Students screamed. Teachers shouted, powerless. And then came the sight no one would forget, Mama Hadiza, barefoot, breathless, her faded green scarf flying loose as she ran into the compound. She fell to her knees in the dust. Please. She is my only child. Her voice cracked with raw desperation. But no soldier listened. The truck swallowed Zainab. Dust rose. Silence smothered Okuta. The storm of their school was gone. The barracks was another ward, cold concrete, iron gates, harsh discipline sharpened into cruelty. Zainab was thrown into a dim cell, cement walls cracked, a flickering bulb buzzing above. They stripped her pride with endless chores, scrubbing filthy latrines until her hands blistered, polishing boots until her reflection stared back at her, sweeping corridors as soldiers laughed and spat. Sometimes they flogged her until her back burned. Sometimes they mocked her until her spirit should have cracked. Sometimes they struck her for no reason at all. But Zainab never cried. One night, Sergeant Bola leaned into her cell, scar twitching in the dim light. I will break you, he whispered. Her bruised face lifted, eyes burning. You'll fail. Weeks turned to months. Zainab learned the rhythm of the barracks, the change of shifts, the whispers in the dark, the men sneaking out with heavy bags and returning with fat envelopes of cash. Corruption was the bloodstream of the place. And then fate placed a weapon in her hand. One evening, while cleaning Bola's office, her fingers brushed a fire. Beneath it lay a black notebook. She opened it and froze. Inside were names of politicians, chiefs, businessmen, all tied to Bola. Records of weapon smuggling, land grabbing, and missing funds. The book was Bola's empire, his bloodline of corruption. Her slap had been reckless. But this was deadly. From that night, the barracks grew darker. Her food sometimes tasted bitter. Soldiers lingered outside her door longer than before. She felt eyes watching every move. But fire, when fueled, only grows. One night, during a blackout, a whisper came through the bars. Corporal Musa, 26, medium dark skin, neatly trimmed beard, eyes beneath a clean military cap, pressed a small torchlight into her hands. Go. Before it's too late. She hesitated only a moment. Then she ran. Through dark corridors, scaling fences, the crack of gunfire echoing behind her. Her red uniform tore against barbed wire, her feet bled on sharp gravel, but she kept running until the barracks was only a memory swallowed by the night. At dawn, she stumbled back into Okuta, collapsing into the arms of Mama Hadiza. Mother and daughter clung to each other, weeping as the rising sun washed them in gold. For a fleeting moment, there was peace. But shadows follow fire. 2 nights later, thunder returned. Soldiers stormed Okuta, kicking down doors, dragging men by the collar, making women scream. Sergeant Bola stood in the village square, scar glowing with torchlight. Bring Zainab out. Or the whole village will pay. Mama Hadiza clutched her daughter in the shadows, whispering frantic prayers. Zainab's heart raced. If she hid, the village would suffer. If she surrendered, she would die. She stepped into the square. Gas tore the crowd. Bola's cruel smile widened. So you're ready to die? Zainab raised the black notebook high, her torn red uniform glowing in firelight. Not before the truth is known. This is what you fear, Bola. This is what you kill for. The villagers murmured. Soldiers hesitated. Fear wavered. Gunshots cracked. But not from Bola. From behind him. Corporal Musa stepped forward, rifle raised. Enough, Bola. The girl speaks truth. Some soldiers lowered their guns. Whispers rippled. Bola's corruption was spilling open. Bola roared, firing into the air. Chaos exploded. Villagers scattered. Soldiers argued. Musa shouted for order. Bola lunged at Zainab, but his boot caught the shrine's torch. Flames leapt, wrapping his uniform. His screams split the night as soldiers dragged him, fire devouring his power. The storm was over. In the days that followed, silence settled. Soldiers withdrew. A government panel arrived, peeling open Bola's corruption. His allies scattered like rats. Zainab sat outside her mud-walled home, the black notebook on her lap. Mama Hadiza hummed softly as she stirred stew inside, her face lighter for the first time in years. For once, Zainab felt peace. She had been the terror of the classroom, the rebel of Okuta, the girl who slapped a soldier. Now she was something else. Not feared. Not untouchable. Respected. But as the sun dipped low, shadows stretched across Okuta. Zainab's sharp eyes narrowed at the horizon. "This is not the end," she whispered. "They will come again. And when they do, I'll be ready." And in the silence of the night, unseen eyes watched. Waiting. In the end, Okuta learned that respect cannot be forced with fear or guns, it is earned through truth and courage. Zainab's fire proved that even one voice, when it refuses to bow, can expose corruption and change a village forever. The end. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more stories. Like, share and comment your thought.